when things are well, things are going really, really well first 2 years because it's something new, everyone wants to try. But is it because your business model and what you're doing is right, then the result is good? Or is it just because by luck, by chance that it's good? I think it's the later part.
It's like a network kind of ecosystem, right? So you get, an EOR partner, maybe you get an IT partner like us. You just plug in your people and, the companies can just scale across the region. It's just about plugging in into the partnership.
Because every institute or every organization, they have their own mandate, whether it's equity investment, venture debt, whether they need to have a very stringent credit policy. But business is very dynamic and fluid. The number one criteria, as long as you're revenue generating, we can structure something for you.
Okay, welcome to Scaling Today, the podcast where we explore the future of work and also the possibilities of scaling globally as well. Today, we have a fascinating episode lined up for you. Our guest is Percy Hung, who is the CEO and co founder of Choco Up. Choco Up is a leading company in growth capital financing for e commerce brands and also startups as well. So I have a lot of admiration for Percy. I've known Percy, I think, for like 5, 6 years by now. And Percy has always struck me as someone who is very entrepreneurial. So actually, prior to founding Choco Up, he has also founded a D2C brand and a cloud kitchen brand as well, right? So I'm very excited about this episode. When I met Percy a couple of years back, he Choco Up, I think, was only in a single country at that point in time. But now I just learned from him that it's in 4 countries around the region. So, welcome to the show, Percy. Would you like to say a few words to our audience?
Yep. Hi, Yu Ying. Thanks for having me on your show. It's always good to connect with other entrepreneurs, to do sharing and to learn from each other. I think this is what makes the startup community,
Mhm.
and this is what keeps us going. It's not one way. It's not just about me sharing, but also I feel like I can learn a lot from you and the audience as well.
I definitely learned a lot from you, bro. Okay, so basically, to kick things off, Percy, I know you have a very interesting background. You grew up between Hong Kong and Singapore. And actually, just now when I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, I saw that you actually went to RI, which I wasn't aware of. Okay, so can you tell us a bit more about your background and how you actually got started with Choco Up?
Okay, so Choco Up is actually we are trying to break into the space where banks they can serve. There are a lot of businesses
Mm-hmm,
where banks, financial institutes, or VCs where they can provide certain type of funding or
mm-hmm,
solutions to help a company to grow. Because every institute or every organization they have their own mandate, whether it's equity investment, venture debt, whether they need to have a very stringent credit policy, but business is very dynamic and fluid. You need
for sure.
different kind of capital in different situations,
Mm-hmm,
and at the same time, in today's business world, a lot of business are digital, a lot of business
mm-hmm,
are asset light, and this is very counter traditional type of financing where you need some asset back, you need something that as a
You need
collateral.
a form of guarantee for someone.
Yes, and the more you have a property, or if you have a factory, if you have a lot of machinery, those are the
Mm-hmm,
traditional type of financing where FIs or other type of lenders will look at.
mm-hmm,
So for Chocoa, because I was a D2C founder myself
mm.
back in the days, and
Yes.
I did a club kitchen and also brick and mortar, online and offline, and it's
Okay.
considered asset light, and it's very difficult to scale, and we
Mm,
make mistakes in business, and when you make mistakes, and then you put yourself in a cash type position and you
mhm,
don't have a second chance. I feel like what Choco Up originally, when we first started, it's to give an alternative, another option for business
mhm,
owners and founders,
mhm,
to grow and scale. And at the same time, if we make certain mistakes, business decisions along the
mhm.
way, we'll have another option or have another second chance to grow the
I
business.
see.
Yeah.
So is it fair to say that Choco Up was actually born of your own experience previously, having asset-light kind of businesses and then finding it difficult to scale? Just
Yes.
because you didn't have like stores or like real estate that you could put in as a guarantee to the bank.
Yes, definitely. I'll give just a bit of background. Like
Sure. Yeah.
for the D2C brand, it's a dress shop brand. We order a wrong colorway for
Mm-hmm.
a large quantity, because MOQ, you want a cheaper
Mm,
goods product, then you need to
Yeah, you need to
you
order
know,
more.
and then it couldn't sell. Then you have that stock, and then it
Mm-hmm.
affected the cash flow. And then we started doing ads, spending more on ads, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's a vicious cycle. And then one thing leads to another,
Mm-hmm.
and it puts a business in a very difficult position.
Mm-hmm.
However, if we have access to some quicker form of money, we can pivot a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Learn through mistakes. Every business owner, I believe, you grow because you learn through your mistakes.
For
But
sure.
you have only
Yeah.
one shot, and you have not enough capital to turn around. I
Mm.
think that that's how this kind of started. And also, this
Mm.
is a more of a tougher situation, but there are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of other situation when, for example, the cloud kitchen concept, that when we wanted to push out more brands, we want to go offline,
Mm-hmm.
we need to have capex, we want to grow from one place to another across
Yeah.
region. We needed more capital just for growth. And for
Mm-hmm.
growth is to drive your top line, your target audience, become a
Mm-hmm.
bit broader.
Mm-hmm.
You need a bit more extra startup capital to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and hence, it was also very difficult for us when business is good. When you want to go borrow money, it's also
Mm.
difficult.
Mm. Even
And
when business is good. So even when your top line is like growing well, like the banks would still
yes,
refuse to lend.
I mean, it depends, right? Normally, e-commerce, digital business, or FMBs,
Mm-hmm.
banks or financial institutes consider them a little high risk, volatile.
I see. Okay.
And at the same time, equity investors, PEs, VCs, family offices, if
Mm-hmm.
you're not at a scale of 20, 30, 50 chain stores,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they're probably not going to look at it, because the bar of entry to do F&B or just a retail fashion, or
Mm-hmm.
shops like that,
It's
it's
pretty
it's
low. Yeah.
pretty low.
Yeah.
There's no moat, and I get it. It's normal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not anyone's, not it's not anyone's fault that this business owners can't get funding.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how business, how it is. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, okay. I mean, we definitely talk a bit more.
Mhm.
I'm really interested to also find out like how Choco Up is doing, helping companies with regional expansion as well,
Right.
because we spoke about that previously. Okay,
Mhm.
but let's go into the other questions first. So I
Okay.
see that you now have teams in Singapore, Hong
Mhm.
Kong, Malaysia, and Australia. Malaysia and Australia being, I think, the two most recent countries that you're
Yes.
in, right?
Yeah.
So what inspired you to go with this kind of like geographically
Mhm.
distributed team setup? And what are the benefits, if any, that you're seeing with
Mhm.
this kind of approach?
Okay. I can talk about an hour, 2 hours, or a whole day about this. But I'll
We
just
don't have 1 or 2 hours,
yes,
unfortunately.
I'll just keep it short. Actually, we have expanded into 15 countries before. Yeah,
Mm.
at one point of time.
Sorry, with Choco Up, 15
Yes, with Choco
countries?
Up. We're
Wow.
helping companies in 15 different countries and regions.
Okay.
However, we realize we're spreading ourselves too thin.
Mm-hmm.
When you go into a new country, it's a lot tougher than we expected in
Mm-hmm.
terms of, hey, the language, the business behavior, consumer behavior,
Mm-hmm.
um, legality, different laws,
Mm-hmm.
licensing. So it was. We thought we do well in one country, we make some money, and you can just go
Mm-hmm.
into a second country, and then
Mm-hmm.
a region, and then the second region does well. Then you think, hey, this model works. You should just
You should be able to
scale.
like copy and paste into all
Yes,
the different countries, right?
but
It wasn't the
that's not the
case.
case. It wasn't the case, and we did have some setbacks. And it was a very good learning lesson for us. Don't try
Mm.
to don't run before you know how to walk.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's
So
good advice, I think.
thank you. If it works now, it might not work. Half a year later. You have to have a
Mm.
very open mind,
Mm.
to constantly pivot and
Mm.
be aware of changes around you. I mean,
Mm.
for example, in late 2018, 19, early 2000, 2001,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
VC funding scene, or PE,
Mm-hmm.
it's very vibrant.
Yeah, it
Everyone,
was
as long
booming
as
at that
it's
point.
booming,
Yeah.
everyone could get money easily from even the biggest, brand names, right? But
Mm-hmm.
in 2022, just within 3 to 6 months, things just
Yeah.
changed drastically.
Mm.
And hence, we cannot predict. It's very hard to predict what will happen in the
Mm-hmm.
next. I mean, we don't. Of course, we like to predict, but
Mm-hmm.
who knows, right? So I think being agile and having the abundance mindset. So in our
Mm-hmm.
company, we preach abundance mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Don't blame the circumstances. Don't blame your teammate. Don't blame the customer. Look
Mm.
inwards and see how we can make it happen. And that,
Okay.
yeah, and that will translate into scaling, right? So we scale too fast, and then we figured, hey, we don't know. We don't have the local know-how, local
Mm-hmm.
knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we focus on just Singapore and Hong Kong first. This two area
Mm.
are where we're quite familiar with. We have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
support, the legal system. We have loyal customer, repeating customers. We're building our
Mm-hmm.
tech based on out of these two regions.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did a lot of research. So instead of going into another 10 countries, then we
Mm-hmm.
pick two more that we feel more
Okay.
comfortable with, and that is Australia and Malaysia. Malaysia
Okay.
being proximity to Singapore, the
Mm-hmm.
language, and also, we have a lot of Malaysian teammates. Localization is so important.
You mean
And
Malaysian teammates who are working here and who were working for you at that point in time in
yes,
Singapore?
that's
I
right.
see. Okay.
And
Yeah.
having local know-how, it's
Mm.
very, very important. Like, that's why a lot of foreign companies or startups, they raise hundreds of millions of dollars. They
Mm-hmm.
come into Asia, they come into Southeast Asia. They think they're attacking one country, but it's actually not.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
10.
It's multiple countries
Yeah. So I think we
and
made
very different from each other.
very different from each other. We made the same mistake,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when we realized, hey, each country we definitely need to go deeper into. We need to integrate into the ecosystem, and
Mm-hmm.
not just having uh you know uh,
Kind of very superficial touch
superficial.
points.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, we need to have local team, local muscles,
Mm.
in order to understand, because so we are, a lot of people think that we're just a financing company, but
Mm-hmm.
we're more of a data. We leverage on data, and we use
Mm-hmm.
automation to make
Mm.
financing easier for
Okay.
customers. So in fact, more than 50%. We have around 50 team members right now. I'll say
Mm-hmm.
around half of our team members are from tech and product.
So they're actually building the product that
They're
you're
building the
using
product.
to automate and integrate. Okay,
Yes.
interesting.
So I'll give you a simple. If you're selling shirts or water bottles on your own
Mm-hmm.
Shopify store or Shopee,
Mm-hmm.
Lazada, Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's a self-serve motion for this seller to go onto the Choco Up website, sign up,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
integrate into all the shops. It's a one step, just put in, key in your password, give us access. We can run
Mm-hmm.
your data, your sales data, your
Mm.
refund, your average order value, your
Ah,
average customer
that's
value,
smart.
your
And
all
then
in.
at the same time, you have financial data, which also helps you with the revenue financing side.
Yes. So we get all this data, we run to our own credit modeling system, and this
Mm-hmm.
is the first part of how we scale. And
Mm.
eventually, we're trying to help a million asset light business in the whole region to scale. So that's
Mm.
our mission.
Okay.
So
And would
half
you
of
be
our
willing to
team,
say
yeah.
which country is next after Hong Kong, after
Um,
Malaysia and Australia?
I hope, I mean, it's full of potential. The whole Southeast Asia is full of potential.
Yes.
Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia, and even Philippines is full of potential. But whether we have the resource capability, local know-how, going into these regions, we probably will look at local partner
Mm. All
to
right.
do it together. For
Yeah,
example,
that's a good idea.
Funding Society, they changed their name in Indonesia. They look for a local partner. I think that's a smart way of doing.
Mm-hmm.
We're a B2B. We don't need to, have our brand name logo everywhere in every,
Mm.
every bus station. No, we don't.
Mm. Mm.
Our ultimate goal is still to help more businesses, SMEs, asset like business to grow. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, fantastic, Percy. I've learned a lot from you. I actually made the same mistake as well, where we were spreading ourselves a bit too thin between all the different markets, right? So, Percy, a question about HR, right, or rather
Yeah.
like about culture and leadership.
Yeah.
So, if you're leading a company that's growing, also with a distributed team as well, it does come with its own set of challenges. So,
Mm,
I've experienced that myself with SFL. But
right.
for you, what are some of the biggest obstacles that you've faced, and like how have you overcome them?
Mm. Okay, great question. It comes with a lot of emotion, a lot of yeah, it's bittersweet, but also now I feel like it's a good time to talk about this as well.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest challenge is communication across
Mm-hmm.
different teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, everyone speaks English, but
Mm-hmm.
everyone's definition of the same word could be different. And
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing it through Slack, Zoom, it it's different from being in the same room
For sure.
because
Yeah.
the human touch. I mean, call it. I mean, we're a tech company. We should be very very efficient.
Mm-hmm.
However, I realize the communication when we're sitting in the same office, in the same room,
Mm-hmm.
versus across different offices is still there's still a gap
Mm-hmm.
culturally, or it's not very very big, but I can notice, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone notice as well.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that we try to do is the leadership team has to be very very aware and mindful about
Mm-hmm.
communication gaps between their teams and the wider team, and we
Mm-hmm.
fly our team leaders across for important meetings.
So
Or
you actually fly them across from country to
yes,
country.
so
Okay.
at the beginning of this year, we flew the whole leadership team into
Mm-hmm.
Hong Kong.
Mm.
There's 12 of us, and we flew in
Mm-hmm.
for a workshop, just
Mm-hmm.
alignment of this year's goals. So
Mm-hmm.
next year it will probably be in Singapore, and then the year
Mm-hmm.
after, hopefully we can rotate, right?
So this
So
is the kind of strategic kind of team retreat that you do on an
yes,
annual basis,
it's
is
not a
it?
retreat. It's straight out planning,
Work.
like work.
Okay.
We did a lot of work beforehand before we even started meeting.
Mm.
So having FaceTime regularly is
Mm-hmm.
important, and
Mm.
hiring before when you expand to different countries.
Mm-hmm.
When we try to do that, right, we just hire blindly, not say blindly, like
Mm.
quickly,
Mm.
and onboarding someone that doesn't have a culture fit or a
Mm-hmm.
mismatch. I mean, it's not just for us, but for the candidate, for the
Yes.
member as well, right? It's draining in terms of time, resource for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have learned is we started interviewing. Uh, we take a longer time to interview, not say interview, to understand, to
Mm-hmm.
chat.
Mm-hmm.
So we onboarded recently a product person,
Mm-hmm.
fairly senior product person, and we got our business team to talk to him. We got our
Mm-hmm.
credit team to talk to him. We
Mm-hmm.
obviously we have a product team. We have
Mm-hmm.
our tech team
Mm-hmm.
with our compliance team. So it's more about understanding each other. The culture fit is important, obviously, but at the same time, the domain knowledge because you'll be leading, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that took a while, and when we have
Mm.
buy-in from the wider team, then we said, okay, let's do it.
Okay,
Uh,
interesting.
we
And do
took
you find that it's people of a certain kind of like age or maturity or background that might do better with this kind of, requirement to work with team members in another country?
yes, definitely. Obviously, for an entry, let's say a more junior position,
Yes.
we won't be going through such a deep dive or
Mm.
lengthy process,
Mm-hmm.
because we want to make sure that we are right fit for the candidate as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hiring wrong, onboarding a wrong person just drains everyone else,
It
and
does. It's an
yeah,
expensive
yeah,
lesson in terms of, not just money, but in terms of time, right? Because that's
yeah,
like 6 months wasted. Yeah,
yeah.
6 months down the drain. Okay, got it. And Percy, how would you describe Choco's Up culture,
Mm.
company culture, and how do you make sure that this is consistent and cohesive across the 4 different countries that you're in?
Right. Okay. I have two things to share here. One is
Mm-hmm.
Choco Up, and another one it's experience from uh, another entrepreneur group where you and I were part of. Right.
Mm,
So the
yes.
first one is in Choco. We go through cycles.
Mm-hmm.
We've been through a few cycle of so-called finding out who we are, who we were,
Mm-hmm.
and who
Mm-hmm.
we want to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like first day I try to build a culture, and then 1 year
So you don't
later,
just set it down and say, everybody, this is what the
no.
culture is.
It's we had in the middle like 3 4 years ago 3 years ago we had a team of probably like 8 to 10 team members left
Mm-hmm.
together,
Mm-hmm.
because we were not the right fit for them as well. It was
Mm,
a big matter. I mean, that was a very good learning lesson for us as well.
mm,
We used to be more sales driven because as a
mm-hmm.
startup, if you have no sales, don't even
You need
talk
it for
about,
funding.
yeah.
Yes.
So we were a bit more sales driven, and when you when you are sales driven, your culture, the team that you hire, uh, you know, it's a bit different. And then now we're more tech and product driven.
Mm-hmm.
More, we even have a MSG team,
Mm-hmm.
mission success and growth team, that
Mm-hmm.
we like. That's not that department is, it doesn't generate revenue directly, but we're spending a lot
Mm-hmm.
of resources on that because that will help us indirectly generate a lot of revenue from our core business. Because
Could you
without,
explain a bit about what the MSG team does?
okay,
I
merchant
haven't
success.
heard this term before. Yeah.
Okay, so now, okay, so like 5 years ago, we were really sales driven. It brews a
Mm-hmm.
different kind of culture that it was okay. Well, it was useful for the time, but we need
Mm-hmm.
to scale. We need to
Yes.
grow to a different level. We want all our team members to grow 10x internally as
Mm-hmm.
well, right? When they
Mm-hmm.
graduate from Choco Up, they go, right? So, and then we pivoted into a more product and process and tech driven company, meaning
Mm-hmm.
all the processes, everyone has buy-ins. It's more process driven than the
Mm-hmm.
dollar and cents, because
Mm-hmm.
to scale you need integration, you need tech, you need data, you need a lot of other things. So when we pivoted to that, I think people feel a little more, hey, we're really trying to scale a business and not just
Mm-hmm.
trying to make the dollar and cents. Making the dollar and cents is very important for investors, for us, for the team members, because we have ESOPs, we have, we need the valuation to go up. So that's
Mm-hmm.
important. But the whole mindset changed, and the turnover rate decreased by quite a lot in
Oh,
the last 2 years.
interesting. Interesting that affected your retention. Yeah.
It did, because when you're a product driven company and everyone is quite open about which process could help us scale, which process, why are we doing this? We're helping. If we don't scale, you're only going to help the handful of people, merchants. But
Mm-hmm.
now people really believe, our team members really believe that we're making an impact to the to the ecosystem, to
Mm-hmm.
the society around us. So
Mm-hmm.
that, but because we're still, at the end of the day, we're still a financing company. Whether we're
Mm-hmm.
leveraging on data, we're doing the old school way, or we're
Yep.
really fully automated for a certain type of deal sizes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's still money related, and when it's money
Mm-hmm.
related, being an Asian in the Asian context, is still, there's still a certain type of stigma that is attached to it. And how
Mm-hmm.
do we, and when you finance someone or some company, normally the lender and the borrower, they are on a opposite, they're like
There's a bit of conflict of
conflict
interest
of
between
interest,
both
right?
sides. Yeah.
And hence our merchant success and growth team come in to educate them that, hey, we're on the same side. For example,
To educate the customers, you mean that
customers,
you're
yes, not
we are
just
all on the
educate,
same
but
side.
to help. By helping them,
Okay.
it's also educating. For example, we have so many D2C brand owners or
Mm-hmm.
retail owners where they have so many data. There's tons of data where they don't know how to analyze them, and some of them don't
Mm-hmm.
even have time to read their financials. We
Mm-hmm.
come in, we help them analyze their data. We come in,
Mm-hmm.
we help them clean up their their some of their financials, help them forecast. If we look at, there are certain costs where we feel like, hey, if we refer you to someone else, you can save 1% here, 2% there, whether it's a payment
Mm-hmm.
gateway or whether it's a supplier. And when
Mm-hmm.
they want to expand, and we feel like, hey, because we have a lot of data points from the industry players, if we feel
Mm-hmm.
like a product can sell from Singapore to Taiwan or to Hong Kong or Malaysia, we can
Mm-hmm.
help you with the whole process from incorporation to setting up bank account to finding fulfillment logistic
That's interesting.
partners.
It's almost like a holistic kind
Yeah,
of service.
yeah. So, I mean, yeah, sure. On like the first thought, a lot of investors will say, "Hey, but that's not scalable." But
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. We can't, again, think too far ahead. For at least for me, like
Mm-hmm.
if we can help this company, he will be, the retention and the customer acquisition cost will significantly drop, and the bad debt situation or the NPL
Mm-hmm.
will significantly drop. This is
Mm-hmm.
to ring fence our business. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
quite agree with the not the scale, not being able to scale, because once we
Hmm.
reach critical mass, we have enough data points. This will
Hmm.
be a modular, will be like a plug and play kind of.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean it's
uh,
like a network kind of
yes.
ecosystem, right? So
Yep.
you get, an EOR partner, maybe you get an IT partner like us.
Yep.
You just plug in your people, and
Yep.
the people, like the companies, can just scale across the region. It's just about plugging in into the
Yes.
partnership.
Yeah. That's right.
But
So,
that's very interesting, and I don't believe I see other
uh,
kind of companies like doing such things as well.
we learn it through the hard way, because if a company is not doing well, the
Mm,
first course of action, if you just issue legal letters and stuff, the repercussion. I mean, of course, when someone borrow money, it's the responsibility to repay.
mm,
You know, this is supposed to be the way, right?
mm,
However, but when a business is always going up and down, and when
mm,
they are going through difficulties, is
mm,
there other ways to recuperate this capital instead of
mm,
just going through legal action? Of course, if it's fraud, if it's intentional, yeah,
mm,
there's no doubt you know, we have to do what we need to do, right? But
mm,
if it's we understand if it's just a nature of a business cycle, this is
mm,
where our MSG comes in and say, hey, let us help you.
mm,
Maybe
mm,
this is just a low season for you, or maybe this is we can tweak a little bit here and there to help you
mm,
to drive your top line. Yeah.
mm. Okay, interesting. Would love to see, how that actually works in action, right? Okay, so Percy, I think a bit more like we were talking about the high level things,
Yeah.
culture, the
Yeah.
company's mission, and so on. So I'd like to talk a bit more about the nitty gritty stuff, right?
Yeah.
Now you have team members in four different countries,
Yeah.
all quite far apart from each other, especially in
Yes.
Australia. So I believe that on and onboarding your team members can be challenging.
Yeah.
So what's your process for actually bringing new people on board? How do you handle things like IT support and equipment for everyone? And then also at the same time, when people leave as well, how do you handle that in a secure manner?
Right. No, so this is something where I believe Hui Qin, one of our team member, has spoken to you about.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we first started, we're still doing it quite manually. And
Mm,
now at 50 people, we realize, and four different regions, we realize we can do it quite manually. It's not, this is not the DNA of what a fast
mm,
growing tech company should be, and
mm,
we're looking for ways um, to make it more efficient. Instead of every time someone come aboard, our HR has to do everything from scratch. It's consuming her time too. We should be empowering her uh,
mm,
to be spending her time on higher return ROI kind of
mm. Recruiting the right people and so on. Yeah.
so this is something where I feel like we have to speak to you more to pick your brain.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Happy to. Happy to.
because
Yeah.
at this stage we're still, of course, uh, uh, because every office has its own needs. For example, our Taiwan is mostly backend,
Mm,
engineers.
mm,
In Hong Kong, we have our credit team
mm,
and a lot of HR admin. And then
mm,
Singapore, it's a lot of client facing
mm,
partnerships and account managers. So the
mm,
function is a bit different. And
mm,
Malaysia is a bit of a tag and partnership. So we're still trying to figure out what is the most effective way, because the onboarding package, you have to learn about different teams, like
mm,
not just the hardware but also the software in
mm.
terms of knowledge, um, what
The
different
culture. Yeah.
culture,
Yeah, different
different
types of
functional team.
teams and people.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's the part where I find it a bit challenging to
Mm,
get everyone's in sync and aligned. Are we at a scale where we can have the culture people, to hire them? And we're not at that level yet. That's why I think leveraging on certain tools and third party options like yours,
mm.
I find, I think that should be at least for the short to midterm for us. Yeah.
Yep. And it definitely looks like you're going to scale to other countries as well. You just mentioned Taiwan. So
Mm.
actually, you guys are in five countries, not just four.
Okay. We don't have business in
Ah, I
Taiwan,
see.
but
So it's just like people, team
Yeah.
members there?
Yes.
Okay, okay, got it. I mean, Taiwan's a fantastic place to have team members in. I love
Yeah.
visiting Taiwan. So one of the things I did want to check with you, Percy, it's something that we are thinking about ourselves as well, right? And that is like revenue-based financing and regional expansion. So
Right.
I know that you guys offer revenue-based financing, and I think that the last time we spoke, some of the big e-commerce names are actually using you guys to expand regionally, right?
Right.
Whether it's team-wise or whether it's business-wise around
Yeah.
the region. So, can you tell me a bit more about the benefits of using revenue based
Okay.
financing for expansion as
Right.
opposed to the more traditional method, which is probably, equity for
Yeah.
startups at least, or like cash,
Mm.
which is for like maybe SMEs?
Right. Okay. Again, there's no right or wrong in terms of which type of financing. It really depends on your business needs,
Mm-hmm,
and whether you're and your business nature, right? If you're a startup, really deep tech startup, or if you are a retail brand that want to grow, or if you're just a brick and mortar coffee chain. So
mm-hmm,
you require different type of funding.
mm-hmm,
So it depends on the need. So I'll share from our own experience. Our
mm.
biggest
Sure.
target audience is um, e-commerce. E-commerce
Mm-hmm.
consists of 60%, 60-70% of our
Oh,
clients.
60% of yours. Okay.
Yeah. And the other, then we have some that are digital business or tech startups. And
Mm-hmm,
then we have some traditional retailers. And
mm-hmm,
then we have some special cases where we look at it individually. So the
mm-hmm,
bulk of our business, our clientels are, we have digital footprints where we can tap in online or
mm-hmm,
offline.
mm-hmm,
If it's online, it's easy through your Amazon store, Shopify store, Shopee, Lazada, WooCommerce, Magento,
mm-hmm,
all this, right? And then we tap into your Zero accounts, your QuickBooks, your Google ad, Facebook ad, Google Analytics, and we can run our analysis, credit modeling, and then this
mm-hmm,
is one type. And then the other type, it's some of it, it's more offline or tech startups.
mm-hmm,
Two other types that we fund. So the biggest pain point I see for them is because these are relatively new type of industry that banks do not
mm-hmm,
know how to underwrite.
mm.
And if and the for them to go get funding, it's most likely, hey, I need to give out some equity if I go to a equity
Yep.
investor, and
Yes.
equity is the most expensive type. You're not If you're e-commerce, good brand, you're unlikely
Mm-hmm.
going to use your equity to buy inventory or spend it on ads. It doesn't
That's the
work.
most expensive way to do it. Yes.
Yes. So I think debt financing for that will be
Mm-hmm.
better. And debt financing, it can include invoice financing, factoring,
Mm-hmm.
PO financing, like different, or even a traditional vanilla loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no fixed way, but this is more like that. So for revenue base, it's a bit of a hybrid, although it's still a debt, but we behave like an equity investor. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like a buy now, pay later. The
Mm.
more your brand
It's a
sells,
concept that many people are familiar with, at least for BNPLs.
yes, BNPL. So we're like a B2B version of BNPL.
Mm.
So
Okay.
we give you say $100,000 to buy to procure inventory and then to spend on Google Ads to prime you for your Double 11, Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
Black Friday, or Double
Mm-hmm.
5, Double 6. And then when you sell, as you sell, we take a percentage of your sales.
Mm-hmm.
So when you
Mm-hmm.
have more sales, you pay us back a bit
Mm-hmm.
faster. If you have lower sales, you don't have the pressure to pay us back immediately. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a more of a win-win situation.
Mm-hmm.
However, I mean, RBF, revenue-based financing, it's our bread and butter. We have helped,
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, close to 1,000 different businesses, merchants so far,
Mm-hmm.
and we expect that to double every year, hopefully. Yes, and
Mm.
so
Wow.
that is
Fantastic
our
growth rate.
no, thank you. That's We're scalable because of our tech and product, really.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also, one key part is when we speak to our clients, we realize revenue-based financing is good. However, there are a lot of other needs that they have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we started developing new products, financial products.
Mm-hmm.
So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, insurance-backed invoice financing, which
Mm-hmm.
a lot of our clients, wanted to use. So we started developing that.
Mm-hmm.
We have some. companies, brands, or startups that they say, "Hey, I want to grow my top line. I would like to
Mm-hmm.
acquire another smaller competitor or
So
another
you do
brand."
M&A kind of financing as well.
Yes, we do.
Interesting.
Yes,
Okay.
and because we know for us the number one criteria that actually one of the hard mandate for us is as long as you're revenue generating, we can structure
Mm-hmm.
something for you because business is
Mm-hmm.
forever changing and moving. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
like we don't want to be like, hey, this is $100,000. This is the interest. This is the principal payment plus interest payment
Mm-hmm.
every month. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care how you do
Which
it.
is what the bank would do, right? Like
Yes.
this is my vanilla loan. Like you
Yeah.
take it or you leave it.
Yes.
So there's creativity behind the way that you can structure it and you can customize it for
Yes.
each of the different business model.
Yeah. And so our tech and product really comes in when a lot of this um, so-called e-com seller or digital business they don't want to hassle. Some people don't even want to talk to anyone, right? Loan officer,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you call it. And
Mm-hmm.
so they can just go to our platform. That's where they can self-serve and we can reach a wider audience. However,
Mm-hmm.
when the business owner wants to chat, wants to learn more about other businesses, that's where our MSG team is there 24/7 to give support. So we try to see every business as a partner instead of a client.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely a great philosophy. So I'm going to learn from you over there. And Percy, I've seen you grown as a founder as well and as a friend, right? Would be interested to hear from your point of view. How
Mm,
do you view your role as a founder as having evolved as
mm,
Choco Up has grown, from year zero until like today,
yeah.
5, 6 years already, right?
Yeah. This yeah 5 6 years in. I say for the first 2 to 3 years, it was during the honeymoon stage.
Mm-hmm.
I would say when things when things are well, things are going really, really well first 2 years because it's something
Mm-hmm.
new, everyone wants to try. But is it real? How to say? What's the word? Is this a real? Is it because your business model and what you're doing is right, then
Mm-hmm.
the result is good, or is it just because by luck, by chance that it's good? I think that's the later part.
Mm.
and and then when problems
As at
start.
that point in time, right? Because that was like the boom period of like VC
Yes,
funding and all that.
yes, and so and sometimes we get carried away as a team. Myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to take ownership for that. So that was learning, big learnings. Like, hey, when it's well, you have to still keep an open mind to learn and to accept criticism and change.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first 2 years we're definitely not integrated. We're not tech enabled. We're not
Mm-hmm.
leveraging on data. We're making money, but we're still doing it more traditionally. But
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't what we should be doing. Our
Mm-hmm.
mission. So we go back to our North Star. Our North Star is
Mm-hmm.
how to empower a million asset-light business to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then that's when it's like a wake-up call. And then we started biting the bullet. And then the Silicon Valley Bank busted the
Mm,
whole,
I still remember that. Yes.
yeah, everybody was just interest rate keep going up, and it was the toughest time for us.
Mm-hmm.
We did a restructure, reorg, a lot of difficult conversation. Have to ask people to
Mm-hmm.
go. People want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was just. I think without going through that, we will not be where we are today. And at the same time, I look back, right? Hey, I mean, constantly we have to optimize, and
Mm-hmm.
there's still going to be challenges ahead of us, right? But
Mm-hmm.
what we did, what we went through 2 3 years ago, I think that really primed us, prepared us as a team. We got a lot more united. Our team member really, I one thing that I look back, I feel very warm and grateful that the turnover rate really dropped a lot in the
Mm-hmm.
past year. That it shows significantly. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's definitely a certain level of maturity, I think, in the culture of the company and definitely in you as a founder as well.
thank you. There's a lot
Yeah.
of, I mean, emotions has been a big part of a lot of myself and a lot of team members, and how to contain that emotions and not let it affect the wider team.
Mm-hmm.
reactions, making comments or decisions while
Mm,
we're emotional. I think that really helped me and the team to build more trust and also help my family as well, right?
mm,
So it translate not just in work but also outside of work.
mm, for sure. I mean, I can definitely tell.
Thank you.
Having known you for quite a few years. Well, Percy, any other things that you might want to tell our audience about, distributed work, the future of
Mhm.
work, or like, about Choco Ups, like future
Right.
plans?
Hmm. Okay, so for if since today's topic is about scaling up, right?
Mm-hmm,
Scaling, a lot of people have the scaling. A lot of people feel like, oh, it's just about driving top line, right? But
mm-hmm,
because we have seen and touched and talked to a lot of businesses, some business when they talk about scaling, it's not just about dollar. Yeah, the dollar is a good byproduct and definitely a goal that we should be focusing on. But scaling sustainably,
mm-hmm,
I think that is more important because if you spike up your growth for a quarter or two
mm-hmm,
by going through some shortcuts, then it might backfire. So
it'll
I'll
come
use
back to bite you.
it will
Yeah.
come back to bite you. Don't hire the wrong people. I think that's the most important. I'll share a quick story about an Amazon
Please.
D2C
Yeah.
brand owner that we funded.
Mm-hmm,
So for in order for a local brand D2C brand to go into Amazon US or a local Amazon store, you need to burn a lot of money. 3 6 9 months. 3 months not enough. So pretty much
mm-hmm,
you're selling something on Amazon US, which the market is huge. You
mm-hmm,
would need to go from when people key in your item, you're on page 27. How do you go to
mm-hmm,
page 25? How do you go to
mm,
page 13? How do you go to number three, number two, number one, right?
yeah.
It's not that I give you $1 million today, you give it to Amazon, you can go up there. No, it takes a lot more than that.
Mm,
And hence, you need to be patient.
mm-hmm,
If you're just thinking, hey, I use money to solve some of my problem for a short-term fix, you might end up losing. So scaling, I think you have to be patient. So if you open one coffee shop, it does
mm-hmm.
well, and you feel good. You open a second one, but if you open a second one, it works. It still could be just sometimes good
Could be
luck.
luck.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
really.
Like we were talking about in the beginning. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So maybe when you have three, five, seven, then you realize actually is this is not because your business model or your coffee is really good. There's other
Mm-hmm,
factor. We can't. We have to be real. Keep real to ourselves. We can lie.
mm-hmm,
We can lie to the whole world, but we cannot lie to ourselves. If the business is not doing well, there has to be a reason.
mm-hmm,
Take ownership and scaling. I mean, if you're not in a rush from a VC where you have to go through ABCD round and exit within
mm,
5 7 years. I
mm-hmm,
think scaling in my own context, right? I'd rather status quo than really go scaling before you
mm-hmm,
know it. Yeah.
mm. Okay. Well, thanks for that advice, Percy. I think, that will be beneficial for a lot of our listeners out there who are probably like in the course of looking for venture backing, right, for
Mhm.
their companies. Thank you so much, Percy. Where can our listeners find you? Are you active on like X or LinkedIn? Like, what's the best way
LinkedIn,
to find you?
I think LinkedIn, email, WhatsApp, I'm open. Like, I'm not like, I mean, I don't care if people private message me in my personal WhatsApp or email or my Facebook or LinkedIn.
Mhm.
I'm open. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We know where to look for you then.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Percy.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ying.